and thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Flood. An anti-mandate convoy filled up Marina Park's roadways and parking lot today, and a smaller group made their way down to protest at the Pigeon River border. Over 100 vehicles from tractors, trucks, and more, all decorated with custom signs, Canadian flags, and even painted doors, made their way down to the waterfront to protest the vaccine mandates in place. A smaller group made their way down to the Pigeon River border to continue the protest. OPP were on site ready just in case a large amount of vehicles came to the border, as they were not going to let the convoy go beyond the parking lot of the Tourism Information Center. We talked to one convoy supporter, Paige Johnson, and she explained why she made the trip down to the border today.
If they say we have 90% vaccine status, then why are we not opening things up? Why does it have to come down to this? Why does it have to come down to where we have people showing up at borders, we have people blocking borders? Like, we're not here to block the border. We're just here to say, hey, I can't cross that border right now. My kids can't cross that border right now, and that is not okay because that's against the Charter of Rights.
Johnson could not confirm specifics, but says there are going to be similar events in Thunder Bay and the surrounding area in the near future. Thunder Bay's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic will get a significant boost this year from cruise ship traffic. A pair of large passenger carrying vessels will stop at the Pool 6 dock this year, the first cruise ships to visit the city since 2012. Corey Nordstrom has more.
After 10 years away, Thunder Bay's shore will finally see visitors from cruise ships this year.
Viking will be turning around their brand new Viking Octantis, luxury cruise ship here in Thunder Bay 7 times. We also have 2 day stops planned with another company, and their ship is the Ocean Navigator.
Thunder Bay's tourism manager says despite the relatively small number of visitors in the grand scheme of things, the return of cruise ships is huge for the city coming out of the pandemic and going forward. The impact is so large that the CEDC provided $100,000 last year to improve the Pool 6 dock in anticipation of the ships, while applying for $1.3 million in funding to cover the work. Pepe expects it to take years for the economy to truly rebound from the pandemic, but attracting new people gives the city an added PR boost.
It really helps us tell Thunder Bay's stories to a new audience, an affluent international audience that are interested in things like the Indigenous tourism, Indigenous culture. They're interested in culinary, they're interested in history, they're interested in the natural attractions and the geology of the area, and those are all things that we do quite well here. So that's going to really help us grow that segment of that industry.
And in order to entice their customers to set sail, some of Thunder Bay's top attractions will be headlined in advertisements for the 2 cruise ships.
These companies really elevate our profile at a global level, at an international level. The reach, the media and PR reach that it gives us is worth millions of dollars in terms of the earned media value. So that's something that we're looking forward to. It's a sign of we're moving in the right direction for recovery.
Corey Nordstrom, TVT News.
Things appear to be returning to normal at the municipal office in Emo following a series of resignations and investigations of workplace harassment late last year that had town officials worrying about the office's ability to provide service. Documents obtained by TVT News in November confirmed the Ministry of Labor was conducting an investigation into allegations of workplace harassment that stemmed from a complaint regarding the employer not conducting an appropriate investigation into another complaint. A special council meeting in late November revealed the MOL had conducted a field visit and key staff members were absent. The township later brought in former Fort Francis CAO Doug Brown to carry out duties for the town on an interim basis. Emo Mayor Harold McQuaker says since then, things have stabilized and he is happy with the direction things are going, but he notes there has been some difficulty in locating qualified applicants.
Our interim CAO is doing a great job. We have a new sec-treasurer, she's doing a wonderful job, and we have another lady at the door for the time being, also doing a wonderful job. The mine took a lot of our talent. OSB, Barwick takes a lot of our talent, but people move around and whatnot, and no, we're quite fortunate for the time being and very happy with what we have.
When it came to the question as to who would take over from Brown when his term expires, McQuaker could only say that they would be dealing with that issue at a later date. A new school in Fort Francis, which has not even had an official grand opening ceremony, is going back into construction mode. This comes following an announcement by the province Tuesday that will see a physical expansion at St. Mary Catholic School to address a growing student body. Adam Riley reports.
The school opened its doors to students in January of 2020 and was already at 116% capacity before the world was thrown into the global pandemic, requiring even more space for students to distance appropriately. And now, 2 years later, officials with the Northwest District Catholic School Board say they've completely run out of space for students at St. Mary.
At that time, we knew that enrollment was likely to be over capacity for the school, but since it has opened, we have gone even further over capacity and are currently utilizing other learning spaces for our classrooms.
On Tuesday, Robinson was joined by Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford and several students to announce the creation of 69 new spaces for students at a price tag of $2.6 million. Rickford believes this project, plus the investments made at several municipal assets the day prior, will set Fort Francis and the next generation up for success.
We're getting Fort Francis ready for a new horizon. We believe those economic opportunities are there, and we believe that kids want to be in their community and go to a school that they can be proud of. You can't have smaller classroom sizes without more classroom space, and that's what St. Mary's has done. This building was actually built with expansion in mind.
No date has been set for when the project, which equates to 3 classrooms, will begin or will be complete by. But Robinson says should a proposal to build the expansions off-site, then install the prefabricated units be successful, it will shorten the timeline from a normal construction schedule.
In other news across the north, those who work with vulnerable people in Sudbury say steady progress is being made in getting people out of the chilly elements, but they've acknowledged there is still a lot of work to do. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
Officials with the Homelessness Network say since last November, a number of community agencies have helped 63 people find a place to call home.
And we know there are at least 8 or 9 more that are in bridge housing right now, which means waiting in a motel until their addresses are confirmed for March 1st. So we're expecting that upwards of 70 people will have found housing who were once homeless or as part of the encampment in the downtown core.
The city says the last 2 tents at the encampment at Tom Davies Square came down last week. Housing navigators have been working with individuals to secure housing options through programs like Flex Funding.
So it has been helpful. We've had the opportunity to assist 15 individuals since November, since it came into place. The majority of those individuals were either reunited with family outside of in another community, or they had access to supports and services for housing in another community.
Officials say Flex Funding is solely for immediate practical solutions.
The other piece to the Flex Funding is that it was intended for situations that aren't easily resolved through other sources of funding, other sources of provincial funding, let's say.
It's a way of getting as creative as we can with meeting people's needs in terms of what they might need to get housed as soon as possible.
The city and the Homelessness Network say there's still a lot of work to be done. There are currently over 100 people on a list waiting for housing who are still living in tents, using shelters and the warming center. Ellen Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
It might come as a surprise, but there were some benefits in switching how high school students learned during the pandemic. That's what the Superior Greenstone District School Board is looking to investigate when it comes to using quadmesters instead of the semester system. Back in the early days of the pandemic, school boards scrambled to find ways to limit the exposures to COVID-19 for students. One of the strategies was to use quadmesters, where students had just 2 courses per day for 2.5 hours each. Nicole Morden-Cormier is the Director of Education for the board, and she says for classes where students needed more time to focus on a project, like in an art or shop class, having 150 minutes of time devoted to working on that project instead of the usual 75 made it easier for students to complete.
Look, we haven't, of course, had our planning done yet, but it could look very much like morning portion of the day. There are courses that are offered that are 150 minutes. And then halfway through that semester, those courses change to another set of courses that are again 150 minutes. So it really benefits our students.
Morden Cormier says the board is looking to launch the study in the next few months, which will span the 2022-23 school year once consultation with area First Nations and the Ministry of Education takes place. Join now with Kurt Black. And Kurt, we had some basketball returning to the Wolf Den this weekend. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, the field house was rocking again for the first time in 2022 as the men's and women's basketball teams return to the court. We'll have the highlights right after the break.